I've made my drawing, so I've got this view of my flat pattern. I can keep this here, or I can put it on the other page, and so I just need to go into this other page and say just create a new view, and I want to do the flat pattern, and I can stick it down here. So that's what I do if I want them both on the same page. So I've got this one. I don't want these other lines. How do I make those go away? Yeah, double click on the view, and just turn off this bend extents. And hit close. How do I get the table showing me all my bends? Yeah, just go to tables, click on that view, and there we go. Yep. So it automatically labels them and it creates a table. And then up here, I need to dimension my drawing, right? So I dimension, I want it from here to there to be 1. I want it from there to there to be my 3/4. From there to there to be my 3. And then from there, oops, nope. Oh, I messed this up when I was doing stuff. Oh, it is supposed to be outside. 3/4.
Isn't it supposed to be 1?
Yeah, but I changed it. So I'm going to do that. All right. So I can get this done, and I want this to be nice to look at. So I'm going to take this to make it shaded and make those edges a little bit lower. And I want to make it like 3/4 size. So I need to dimension this one.
Do you need that second view right there? Because
Just,
the
I need.
flat pattern would give you the thickness.
Good call. So for this view, it doesn't give me much, right? All it gives me the width, and I can see that same width here.
Yeah.
So I really don't need this view. Unless I had something going on there, like maybe
You got a hole in one of the findings.
I put a hole in here. So if I projected that line there, and then drew a line, let's make that 0.5, finish it, stick a hole in there. Make it more interesting. There we go. Now I've got a hole there. So now where's that hole go? I can see it's only here. But if I click on this view, now I want my headlines turned on. So I can see that, yeah, there's a hole going through that side. So now I probably need some other dimensions here, like how far down that hole is, right? Maybe how far over it is. So when we do this, when we set up our drawing, we want to make sure it looks neat. So we want kind of even spacing. Stick this guy inside of here. Anything that should be done to this view over here? Yeah, maybe move these up a little bit. And it's got some snap kind of things, but if I just move my mouse over here, now I can just bring it over. I don't click, I just move it. Kind of drag it over a little bit. Drag that out a little bit. Give it some space around the part. That way we can see what's going on better. Okay? I also need to have my dimension for my hole. And maybe a center mark there. Okay?
So now because you dimensioned all that there, we got our radius there, you don't have to do that with that.
So this is my form view. This is telling them what I want after it's bent up. Here is the flat pattern. So telling them what I want cut out on the plasma or the laser or the water jet or whatever else before it gets bent. So do you think I need to have some dimensions here?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I need to tell them where these bend lines are, right? So they know how far to come in to bend it. But also, I can have them check some stuff here before they bend it up. So like, they can measure the hole size here, right? They can check that and make sure it's right. Can they check to make sure the position this way is perfect? Do I care about the position where it is when it's flat or position where it is when it's bent?
I'd say flat.
I care about where it is when it's bent.
Yeah, 'cause that
Because
part
if you do it where it's flat and you bend it properly, it's gonna be in the right spot.
But what if I need to adjust my bend allowances, my K factors, or they've got a different die in the press brake, and it's going to be a little bit different radius.
So they're gonna drill it in.
I'd rather
bend?
check it here. So remember, the drawings are for checking, and so I'd rather check it here to verify it's in the right spot. So kind of my rule is I dimension down here with ordinate dimensions. So I'll do this. I'll go here, and I can just pick. Because it takes up less space than doing it the regular way. And then I can dimension with regular dimensions things that I can check that aren't going across a bend line. So like that diameter there, that dimension there, and that dimension there, those aren't going to change when I bend it, right? But I never do a dimension in the flat pattern that crosses a bend line. Because for me, that's something that might get adjusted, and I really don't care what the flat is. I care that this view is right.
No, that's fair.
Because even using the same bend radius but using a different bottom die will sometimes change how it bends. And so I'd rather give them the freedom to do stuff. Even let's like move that 3 over there so it's not under the line. Make it look neat. Okay? So this is kind of how I would do this one. So I know what my dimensions I want it for being bent are. And actually, I'd probably even take those 2 off of there. Because those dimensions are already being checked here. So I don't need to check them again after it's bent. Or I could leave them there and tell it to be reference. Right? So they're going to check it when it's flat, and then just to see that, yes, it's still supposed to be centered. Like, don't make it flat and then shear off part of the edge when you bend it or something, right? But that's kind of what I would do. Does that make sense?
You need to put a note for the gauge.
Yeah, I probably should do that. So I'd probably do that down either in a note or in a call out, or usually we don't do it as a dimension, we'd do it as a note. So
What was the question?
it's calling out the thickness of the material. So usually it'd be in the bill of materials, or so I could do like a parts list even. And then now in the description here of that part,
Yeah.
I can say, what was this, 12 gauge? What color I had? Save that. So now it's calling out here in the parts list. So depending on how the companies are set up, sometimes they'll put materials in the bill or in the title block down here somewhere. Sometimes they'll do it as a note. Sometimes they just put a parts list on every page, and that's your material for that part. Yeah, you have to figure out how the company wants to do it and do what they do, because they want it to be the same on every drawing for that place. They're not doing it a different way every time. Some companies like to do this where they put the flat patterns on the same page as everything. Some like to do one page the form view and a separate page the flat pattern. And it also depends on how complex the flat pattern is. If it's really complex, it'd usually put on a separate page. Okay? So if we look at these ones, what dimensions do you think need to be included on this? Yeah, so they know how big to like blank it out, right? And they can double check it a little bit. So yeah, I'd probably maybe do the ordinate dimensioning going that way. And maybe in here I might start with my 0 here and go either of those ways. Or I can just, do a regular dimension. What else?
The little tiny, where the angle meets.
So over here?
Yeah.
Do I
Do a radius or.
should I do I need to dimension this radius?
Maybe not.
Is that part of the design, or is that just something that's done to make it be able to bend?
I think that's just probably the bend, right?
Yeah. So again, some companies, the bend reliefs or whatever, they like to dimension them out and everything. Some, and the way I do it is, if it's just there for the bend, I don't worry about it. But I do probably want to like give this dimension here, maybe at least as a reference dimension, so they know kind of what that angle should be there. And then maybe that dimension there, just so you can kind of see what it is. So that's probably what I would do on this one.
And again, so, okay, the lines in the middle right there,
This one?
to the left.
These
the
two?
ones you drew,
Yep.
right line, that dimension.
I would do an angle dimension there.
That's angle, okay.
Yeah, do an angle dimension between those just so you know what the angle is.
And so at this point, that gap dimension distance doesn't matter just because again, it's the product
Yeah.
of that. Okay.
Mhm. And so this is kind of just an outside one there to double check.
You put reference dimensions on the inside?
Yeah, I'd probably put the angles as a reference,
Okay.
just because.
Okay.
Actually, no, it probably could be a reference or not a reference. Doesn't really matter. What about this one? This one is not quite that rectangular, so what do we care about? How do we do this one?
Like,
Well, ordinate from the flange into.
Yeah, so
Into
maybe
the-
starting it here, going that way,
yeah.
or even from a point here. But here, I care about this dimension, right?
Yeah.
I care about that dimension, because those are kind of, should be almost the same. But they may, because if they're too much off, then we want to check that out first. And then yeah, it could be ordinate dimensions going here. But usually ordinates we can only do like at right angles. We can't do it don't. So here I might just do that dimension and then that dimension.
Well, I'm saying doing ordinate from the end, opposite end, as opposed to the narrower end.
Oh, from starting here, go this
Yeah,
way?
There into the line.
Yeah, so you can start it there, and 0 and boom, boom, and just say typical, because you can't reestablish it here because it'd want to be horizontal and vertical, not at this angle. Or you can just do the regular end-to-end dimensions there. Again, the flat pattern, it's to help us get to the form view, and the form view is where we want to put the dimensions on of what we actually want the finished thing to be, right?
If you write typical, are you gonna write on each dimension?
I would just do as a note, both sides the same or something like that. That way they know any dimension here is the same going that way. Yep. So that's probably what I would do on this one. Any questions on that? And I'm not being really picky on the